What is it that defines a rival? Well, the definition of a rival is both a contestant you hope to defeat or to be equal to in quality or ability. All rivals are commonly found, most rivals are commonly found in video games. Rivals such as the Star Fox team and the Star Wolf team, or Goku and Vegeta, or Mario and Wario, and even Sonic vs. Shadow. They are all great rivalries in video games. There is one character that I can think of that can truly define a rival, and that is what today's video game boss review is going to be, as I review the Midnight Thunder Boy himself, Alastor. On October 7th, 2003, Capcom had released a game called Beautiful Joe in the United States for the Nintendo GameCube. It was later released on the PlayStation 2. It was unlike any game that had ever been released at the time. Sure, it was a typical beat-em-up, but it had a little bit of a twist. You play as a guy named Joe, who was at the movies with his girlfriend Sylvia, as they were watching a superhero movie called Captain Blue. And as they're watching it, Sylvia just wants to make out with Joe in the theater. Yeah, typical thing. But, as Sylvia forces Joe to make out with her, suddenly the main villain of the movie comes in and he defeats Blue. Then all of a sudden he comes through the screen, takes Sylvia, and knocks the Six Machine, or the giant red robot that you see, through the screen and crushing Joe with him. So the Six Machine takes Joe into the movie, and your adventure begins as you go through. Along the way, you pick up the V-Watch from Captain Blue's ghost as you turn into the mighty hero Beautiful Joe. And you are equipped with power-ups such as slow motion, Mach speed, and zoom in, which will allow you to have advantages over your enemies. These are called VFX. So as you make your way through the game fighting through jets, helicopters, Bianchis, or the enemy soldiers, and the giant bosses known as the Jado, you end up in an underwater fortress in the 4th chapter, and once you make it to the boss, you fight a clone of yourself. And when you beat him, you get a glimpse of this devil-like character as he flies away. Then enter the 5th chapter, known as the Midnight Thunder Boy. You make your way through the town at night, and after stopping the emergency brakes on a train, you end up in a ritual room. As you find the exit, you suddenly see purple lightning, and your rival, Alastor, appears, telling you the plans of the Jado, in which he doesn't care about, and he goes on to fight you. His attacks are similar to that of Dante's skills from the Devil May Cry series, such as the Stinger, the Round Trip, the Air Raid, and the Vortex. Plus an attack of his own where he makes floating pillars appear and shocks them so they move around the stage and shoot lightning at him. After you defeat him, he officially calls you by your hero name and disappears, assumed to be dead as the narrator says. After the end of the game, you of course see that there will be a second one and Alastor would be back. He even breaks the 4th wall after he's assumed dead because he thinks that his acting role is done for. He's even an unlockable character if you beat the game on V-rated difficulty. And he pretty much has his own story. Now, when Joe transforms, he always says Henshin a go-go, baby. But Alastor says something different. Instead, he says, Devil Trigger! Holy crap, it is amazing playing as it. He has an all-new moveset. When he jumps, he'll float down slowly, and his double jump is known as the air hike, once again taken from the Devil May Cry series. He even does it in human mode. Plus, his transformation is different. Normally, whenever you use VFX move, your gauge decreases every time. With Alastor, he can use as much VFX as he uses because his VFX meter drains from Devil Trigger mode. When it comes to the unlockable characters, screw playing as Captain Blue. Sure, he's considered to be the best playable character, but personally, I prefer Alastor because of his new story and his brand new moveset that he brings to the game.
Is this it? Am I done for? You're kidding, right? Oh, come on! No! Come on! Help a brother out, huh?
So then, we fast forward to November 18th, 2004, and the sequel, Beautiful Joe 2, was released on the GameCube and again later on the PS2. It pretty much improved over the original game with the new feature of tagging in Sylvia and having her use a new VFX power known as Replay, replacing the Mach speed. Now as you play through Chapter 5, Thunder Boy lives twice. You obviously see that Alastor has returned. And after the random appearance of another Big John character because he's the running gag of the game, he gets shocked to death by purple lightning. As he descends from the heavens, Alastor returns, ready to fight again. But something strange has happened. His health is lower than you would see in the first game. So then, after you beat him, he admits defeat, but this time the place gets dark, as black clouds circle around Alastor. And then, the power of the black film possesses him and transforms him into the demon that he was meant to be. Then the real fight begins. Of course his health is increased, and he has similar moves, only this time he has an upward slash and a stabbing technique with his sword. And after that, Alastor is defeated once again and put out in the real world, thinking that again, his part is over. But this Alastor fight is probably my personal favorite because of the atmosphere of the fight and the rush you get from it, especially the fact that he turns into a demon and he's like super powered, so you gotta think before you go and attack him.
No! Come on, help a brother out! I'm packing heat!
So then we fast forward again a year later on November 8th, 2005. A spin-off game known as Beautiful Joe Red Hot Rumble was released on the GameCube, and it was something different from the original games. Instead of the traditional beat-em-up style, it was a party game, and it's sort of similar to that of Nintendo's Super Smash Bros. Series. It was a great spin-off, including mini-games in each stage, such as collecting as many items as you can, killing the most enemies, or beating a boss to win the stage. Your starting characters included Joe, Sylvia, Jet, Blue, and of course Alastor. His moveset included slicing with the sword as his regular punch attack, increasing the size of his sword and using one huge swipe causing major damage as his standard special attack, the air raid as his side special attack, and his vortex as an upper special attack. He's a little hard to control, but in time you get the hang of his moves. He's honestly a cool playable character. Then on the same day of the release of Beautiful Joe Red Hot Rumble, Capcom had released another spin-off of the Beautiful Joe series called Beautiful Joe Double Trouble for the Nintendo DS, and it took the series to a new level, putting it exclusively on the handhelds. And it had many new VFX powers that replaced the Mach speed and the zoom-in power. Instead, you had Scratch, which could rain items from the sky, Split, which could make the screen split to advance in certain situations further in the level, and Slide, which is like the zoom-in feature. And then of course you get the traditional slow motion power. In the 6th chapter of Beautiful World, you replay the boss fight recap, and at the end, you end up in the theater from the final battle in Beautiful Joe 2. And suddenly, Alastor appears to bring you into the movie world and fight him in his very first fighting area from the first game. Then after the fight, he brings out his own 6th machine called the Rex machine, and he has sort of a Megazord battle. But as the fight ends, Queen Hyndrella, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, she appears to attack Joe, but Alastor gets in the way to give Joe the chance to get to the final area. Therefore, he makes a noble sacrifice and disappears. His whereabouts are left unknown, and we can conclude that he is gone for good. This was a spin-off, so this story didn't actually happen. But Alastor's fight in this one was a great fight, and it was a bit challenging considering the DS's controls. And with that, we have reached the end of this review. Honestly, Alastor defines a rival in a video game. Well, he's one of them. He has great power, he has capability, he has a cocky personality, and he never gives up a fight. He's considered to be one of my favorite boss fights in gaming because he gets better each time. And with the news of the possibility of a Beautiful Joe 3, I honestly hope Capcom makes it so we can see the epic conclusion to this series and it can finally be put to rest properly, and hopefully Alastor can have a better boss fight. So this is Muscle Man Warrior 92, and gamers, let gaming live on. Also, be sure to check out me and Superstar Luigi 83's new Facebook page, Barrel Roll Studios 93, where we post certain gaming statuses and such, so be sure to check out our Facebook page. See you later.